Hi friends, welcome back to the Share Report. I am back with another video. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. If you have been around for a while, thank you so much for coming back on and joining with me. So please be sure to share this video, subscribe, all the things. So as promised, I'm back with another video. I wanted to talk about some things that's going to be on the 2024 ballots. And I often preach on here that we need to be active citizens, get involved, know our stuff, all the things. So I wanted to practice what I preach and educate ourselves about what's going to be on the ballot, so we're not showing up in November and we're like, oh, how should I vote? What should this be? What does this mean? What does this amendment mean? Because you know, amendments can be very confusing. They like to twist things, and then people vote one way when they're really wanting to vote another. So I really wanted to kind of dive deep into some amendments and some topics. So this particular topic is about abortion. So in the state of Florida, this is going to be where I am. This is going to be on the ballot, but it appears it's going to be on a lot of ballots that I've seen in other states like South Dakota. I'll list some other ones as well, but this is how they're writing it out on the ballot. It's going to be Amendment 4 for Florida, but this is what it says. It says, provide a state constitutional right to abortion before fetal viability. It goes on a little bit further to talk about it and to say how to vote. So I'll read something to you here. So let me give a little more description just so you know. It pretty much says the same thing. So for Florida, provide a constitutional right to abortion before fetal viability, which is estimated to be around 24 weeks, or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's healthcare provider. So Amendment 4 for Florida. Some other states where it's going to be mentioned as well as Colorado, Maryland, New York, Nevada, South Dakota. So if you're in those states, definitely look for this. If you're not and you know someone, share this video. This is the options that they have here. Yes, is a vote to support it, establishing a constitutional right to abortion before fetal viability. No opposes establishing a constitutional right to abortion before fetal viability. So I'm going to be very conscientious when I'm talking about this subject. It is a very touchy subject for some people. A lot of Americans are very divided on this for a lot of reasons. A lot of people for religious reasons, like myself. Some people maybe just their conscience. Some people think it's okay no matter what. So I'm just going to speak about myself, how I feel, and just kind of think about it from different angles. As we know, abortion is ending a pregnancy. And for me personally, I don't agree with it religiously and my conscience. We know that abortion is ending a life and in the womb, and it's a baby. It's none else than a baby. So it has been very whitewashed, and like I said, there's a lot of division about it. And I wanted to provide some statistics, and I went way back with some of these statistics back to 2004, and I wanted to see the percentage of women that got this procedure done that terminated their pregnancy, and I wanted to see the reasons why. And because a lot of people were like, well, what about if someone was forced or if they were with a family member? I don't want to say the words because I don't want this video to be banned, so I'm going to be very particular about how I say things, but a lot of people like to throw those two horrendous things, and they're very horrendous, to legalize all the way up to 9 months. So for me, I wanted to do my research and kind of just think about it and to present it to you as well. I'm not telling you how to vote. Vote your conscience, vote your religious beliefs. But for me, it's a life. But I'm also going to just briefly touch on some other things. So what I researched, 2004, 74% of women who terminated their pregnancies said they did it because it interfered with their education, their ability to work, and things of that sort, or they weren't ready to have a family. 48% didn't want to be single mothers, and it went down the list, and the number got smaller and smaller of reasons why. But I wanted to read because 74% of them said it interfered with their education or their life. It didn't even mention the small percentage of the horrendous things that we know as forced or relative. So that shows you that a large percentage is actually just very self-centered. And I'm saying that for a reason, because we're in a culture now where a lot of people are very self-centered. It's all about them. We're also in a very Peter Pan syndrome generation where people just don't want to grow up and don't want to take personal responsibility for their actions. Everyone over 18, even younger, knows how babies get here. So you have to put that into account. I'm not talking about the two horrendous things. We're talking about the 74%. It's probably even more now. This was 2004. 74% of the women, they did a study in 11 different places, talked to different demographics, places that did up to 2,000 terminations a year. So they went to different facilities. So it wasn't like they just went to one place. This was all over. 74% said that it was going to interfere with their life. So like I said, we're in a very Peter Pan, I never want to grow up. These women that are always at Disney with the ears on and just acting like little kids all the time and just wanting to never grow up. Men sitting in front of video games and never wanting to grow up. We're in a very childish, immature generation where people don't want to take personal responsibility, or they're very self-centered. So for me, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to get rid of a life, because you don't want to grow up and you don't want to take personal responsibility. Like I said, we all know how babies get here. So that's one point of view for me. I also looked at some statistics from 2021 of how many terminations there were. Such a terrible thing. It's very disheartening. But there were upwards to 626,000. 626,000 in 2021. That is an insane amount. And you cannot tell me that they were all from being forced or from a relative forcing you. They come from that 74% where it interferes with my life. That is a lot of children, a lot of children. So for me, that is completely wrong. There's no way around it. There's a lot to say about that. Like I said, that's all I'm going to say about that. But one thing I did want to say about the two horrendous things that people always bring up, which is a very, 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 very tiny percent. And I'm not saying it's not terrible. It's horrible. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on that because that's a very touchy subject. I don't know what I would do if that were a family member or myself. I have no idea. So I'm not going to judge those people because that's something terrible that happened to them. But I'm saying for the large amounts where it's just interfering with your life, it's causing interference with you. You don't want to take personal responsibility. That's what I'm talking about. So I just wanted to mention that to you. That's going to be on the ballot. Like I said, the horrendous things, very, very emotional. I want to support those people and help those people who face those things. There should be tremendous support. And what I did learn about people in those small percentage scenarios is that if they're taken to emergency room soon after, that things are taken care of right away. So for precautionary reasons, and also just in case there is some sort of disease that they should come in contact with, there are things that are done. So keep that in mind. Don't let anybody just spin ending a pregnancy for the small amount, because like I said, there's things to be done up to 120 hours after something terrible like that should happen. So there's a way out. I'm trying to be very nonpartisan here and compassionate for those people. So like I said, my heart goes out to them, and I would always want to help them. And in that case, I would totally understand. But for, like I said, the 74% that's self-centered and doesn't want to take responsibility, there's a lot of things that I've learned about that we can branch out as far as single mothers and, men taking responsibility. There's a lot of things that I could branch out on just this topic, which would be another video. But since we're talking about the ballot and what we're going to do, I'm just sharing some thoughts. So like I said, I'm not telling you what to do, but I wanted to just throw that out there and just let you know it's going to be on the ballot, and these are things that they're saying for that. And I'm going to leave you with two things before I wrap up this video, is that I know this is another side of it. I know that a lot of pro-life people like myself, Christians and everything, they typically think, oh, it's a baby. It's a baby. We don't want to harm the baby. That's true. We don't want to harm the baby. But we also have to think of that baby's life when they grow up. We also have to be great advocates of making sure that baby grows up to be well taken care of, has good parenting, teaches them morals, teaches them to be a good citizen, and all the things to being a parent, not just thinking, oh, that's a baby, because everybody was once a baby at one time. Charles Manson was once a baby at one time. Ted Bundy was a baby at one time. So we can't just think, oh, that's a baby. We have to be sure that we nurture them in the right way and teach them morals and just to be good citizens and God-fearing. That's the most important thing. You want them to be God-fearing. So I wanted to throw that out there because lots of people say, well, what about the child afterwards? I completely agree. There's a lot of people that think, oh, it's just a baby, and they don't think about afterwards. I do personally, and there's lots of people that are pro-lifers that I know that think about the baby afterwards, making sure that they're being guided in the right way and taken care of. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and then I'm going to end with this last story. Me personally, my mom had me at 19 years old, which in today's standard is very young. My father was not around. I know him and everything. We connected later on in my teen years, and my senior year of school, we were having a conversation, and he shared the information that I was unwanted, that he wanted my mother to abort me, which was very, very, very sad. My mom never told me that, but I verified this with her. And he told me this, and that was very sad and disheartening and very hurtful. So I often think about that. I don't hold on to that, but I think about how myself was unwanted. One second. Sorry guys, I had a little tickle in my throat. But anyway, so I often think about, my father saying that he didn't want me. It was a very intense conversation at the time. I don't want to get into that. So needless to say, I don't really have any dealings with my father. That's not what this is about. But just to let you know that my mother, she was like, no way, I'm not going to get rid of my baby. So fast forward many years later, me growing up after finding this out, I always thought, because my mom worked really hard, she made sure we had the best education. I was homeschooled. My mom's a teacher. We were homeschooled, went to private school as well. And she worked really hard for us, made sure that, we were well taken care of and all the things. I had the best mother ever. And one thing that I always thought when I grow up, when I get a job, get a really good job, a home, whatever it may be, I always want to be able to take care of my mother because she was there for us and she sacrificed and she chose me over what she wanted to do. So that's just something that I wanted to throw out there, my personal story. I've never shared that before. So, and just to look at me today, like my mom always says, you know, just to look at me now, you know, if I'm pretty sure she thinks, wow, that would have been terrible if I would have got rid of my baby. You know, me being here now, just looking at me, obviously I wasn't a clump of cells. Obviously, you know, I was a surprise and everything, but you know, she sacrificed and she knew that was her responsibility. She grew up and she took ownership of that. So she didn't say, oh, this is going to interfere with my life. I'm pretty sure she had aspirations as well, but she put on her big girl clothes and said, okay, I got a responsibility. So I just wanted to throw that out there and just share my little story with you all. And I hope this video was helpful and insightful, and I hope I give a good perspective and was fair about everything. And I'll be back with another video talking about some other amendments that's on the ballot. In the meantime, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and thank you so much for being here.